Now let's come to the last video of this introductory topic, that is, we will talk about pressure. Now what is pressure? Pressure is defined as the normal force that is exerted by a system against a unit area. Now, mathematically, pressure is given by P, which is force upon area, and the units are Newton per meter square. This is very easy stuff. So 1 Newton per meter square is known as 1 pascals, 1 PA. Now, more commercial units, that is bar. So 1 bar of pressure is equal to 10 to the power 5 pascals. Okay, or you can say 100 kilopascals, or you can say 0.1 megapascals. So you can note down these conversions of pressure from pascals to Newton per meter square and from bar to pascals. Alright, now there is one more unit of measuring pressure, that is atmosphere. So 1 atmosphere, that is 1 atm. This is equal to 101.325 kilopascals. So this is something very handy to remember, because if there are some conversions that need to be done from atm to kilopascal, it becomes very easy. And in terms of bar, this is 1.01325 bar. Okay, so this is the value of atmospheres in bars. Now let's have a look at these lines which I have drawn, these 4 lines. And let me mark this bottom line as pressure, which is equal to 0. This is 0 pressure. And the second line will be a pressure which is less than the atmospheric pressure. Then this is pressure which is equal to atmospheric pressure. And this is the pressure which is more than the atmospheric pressure. Now, when you measure pressure with respect to the atmospheric pressure, it is called gauge pressure. So every pressure measuring gauge will measure pressure with respect to the atmospheric pressure or in excess to the atmospheric pressure. So if you, let us say this is the point at which pressure has to be measured, and if I measure it with respect to the atmospheric pressure, this becomes gauge pressure, P gauge. But if the same pressure is measured with respect to 0 atmospheres, that is the vacuum, then this pressure becomes the absolute pressure. So this is for this point, same point. So this becomes the absolute, PABS. Alright. And from 0 pressure to atmospheric pressure, we call this as the atmospheric pressure, that is PATM. So if you look at these 3 lines, this line, and this line, you can write down the relationship between absolute pressure, which is this, is equal to the gauge pressure plus the atmospheric pressure. So this is a very, very important relation that you should note down in your notebooks. Now, any pressure which is below the atmospheric pressure is termed to be a negative pressure. So if you measure the pressure of this point with respect to the atmospheric pressure, now this is below the atmospheric pressure, so this is called a negative pressure. But which negative pressure? Negative gauge pressure. So this is a negative gauge pressure. Alright. And if you measure the pressure of this point with respect to the 0 pressure, this is, so this value is the absolute pressure below atmospheric. So this is the absolute pressure below the atmospheric pressure. Alright, so this is also an important thing to note down. So in this case, you can see that the absolute pressure, let me give this blue color, so this is PG, let us say 1 in this case, and this is PABS, and let us put 1 just to differentiate from this pressure. Okay, now if you look at this, this becomes P atmospheric is equal to P absolute 1 plus P gauge 1. Okay, and from this you can find out that the absolute pressure 1, this is equal to P ATM minus the gauge pressure 1. So this is what you get for absolute pressures which are below the atmospheric pressures. Okay, so these two relationships is what that you need to remember in this particular video. And with this video we finish this first topic of the basic introduction to the subject of thermodynamics. In the next series of videos we'll start with the discussion on the very first law of the subject, that is the 0th law of thermodynamics. In this particular law we'll start a discussion on the parameter or on the property that we call temperature. So see you in the next video. Bye bye.